Okay, so this will be part of our basement modification series, and basically I'm going to show you what I do specifically to tear out a set of steps and rebuild them so that it's structurally sound. It's actually more structural now than when it was coming from the factory. And so this is in a 2020 Grand Design Momentum 397TH. Different models are going to vary slightly here and there, but because in the Momentums I need a lot of room, dual inverters, 6 batteries, dual MPPT, so I've got a lot of equipment that has to go in a relatively small space. Okay, so you can see the steps out here, and then the original steps came to here. This was there's a board that comes straight out here, and then it goes up right here and connects to the end of this board right up here. And then these were pillars that go all the way to the ground, to the floor on a cross member. That's one set. And then there's this one and this one go to another cross set, and then these two go to a third cross member on the floor, and then this one ran straight to the floor and just was a peg leg. The things that I did was I squared all of these off across here so that this will support, that actually is the step that I'm trying to support. I'm not so much worried about the length of these here and here. I like to get them flush and touching. And then for the step above, which these are supporting, I support that step with this board. It's in the front of the step is supported here coming down, and actually I missed a screw. I'm going to screw this one into that piece, tying them together. Same thing here, this one tying, well, no, that all came apart whenever I tore it out. But nonetheless, you know, this is supported from, you know, here up to here. This is supported. The one up above is supported because of this. It does support it on the wall side. This is 2x8s together and screwed in across the bottom. I square out across the water, and then I take the electrical, and it is mounted to the roof here. I don't know if it'll show. My screen on my camera went off, and then comes across there. I am putting the central vac back in. This will be the power for the central vac. The central vac mounts right here. It took about a day to do all of this, and then rerouting the vac lines and the vac turn on. I do have my power already pre-done so that I can get my lines already over here. You don't have to do any of that when you're doing this. On the bundling of all the wire, it's just zip tied, and then it's anchored to the bottom here, not into the frame. I don't want to I don't disturb that at all. And then I anchored over that way. This is some of the bundle for the Lippert control box for your touch screen. I mount that right here in this area. I left it out so that I could show. I zip tied this to the toilet drain line, so that it's fastened and out of the way. I do have a bit more wire management to do up in there, as you can see. I took the transfer switch from right here and put it over there. The only wire that I had to remove to get it to go in that place was the wire coming from the breaker box, which is literally right through that hole. I know you can't see it, but I disconnected that one, left it hanging, was able to push the transfer switch back through all that mess, which is why I had to pull the what's that thing called, I keep wanting to say dryer vent, but it's the furnace lines. They twist and then come out. The skinny part of it on that furnace is on the bottom. So if you can get the small part, whenever you get in there and look at it and see, you can see what I'm talking about. They just twist and then come out. You don't have to undo the hose clamps, because that is a huge pain. And then with the transfer switch moved out of the way, this can be squared, the wet wall can be squared off, come this way, and then you can box this in as well, and then you gain all of that space and all of this space, enabling you to have a much more usable basement. But you have to go in and you have to do the wire management that the manufacturer didn't do, which that's okay. They never intended for you to really use this space. But I talked about this part, and this part, but I didn't say anything about over here. Okay, so over here what I did was I cantilevered the anchor for the steps back into the floor and then notched it into my vertical that's supporting my top step. With the way that this is done, it's taking the frame actually takes half of the load, and it doesn't put a lot of weight on the flooring, because there's no super, I don't want to say super, that's a bad word. The plywood is the support for this whole area. There's no cross members of flooring until you get back over into around here is where the frame is, and then there's a hole here on this side as well. So, but from here all the way over to the other side, basically under the edge of the wet bay, there is no floor structure under any of this. It's all just open, and this is just one big piece of plywood supporting all of the things that you put in here. So I didn't want all of this weight being pushed down on just this. I wanted to split it up and get it back into a solid structure, which is the flooring that sits on top of the frame beam right there. So that is how I designed it to be strong, last, and open up a whole bunch of space. The one thing that I also did is, you see all these marks here. This board had a lip about 1 inch on it, so I did cut this flush with my oscillating saw, and then I just left the notch out that way, so I didn't have to worry about cutting that vertical out of there. But that is probably a 2-day basement mod for somebody that's handy or inclined to do it. And then the next step that I do whenever I go to put all this together is I paint all of the area flat black, where anything that's going to be seen, and then when all the equipment goes on it, the equipment pops and the background just kind of disappears. So, but you will need more plywood to do your trimming out of a lot of the basement area, because whenever you do the calculations of, you know, this wall coming this way and then this coming over, since you're adding more space, you're going to need to add some more plywood as well. So anyhow, that's a basement mod that I do to be able to install a whole bunch of equipment in a tiny space, and you lose no space, and get a very powerful, good to look at system. So that's just something that I do. Cool.